Let's get rolling. Glasses in session. And who better to kick things off with than our guy, Peter Appel, co-founder of Just Baseball. Make sure you guys follow Peter on X at Peter Appel 23. Peter, great having you back on the show, man. Baseball in full swing. Obviously, had the opening series this past weekend. Want to get your thoughts on some of these teams. We'll start with the Atlanta Braves, Peter. I think a lot of people, maybe because they were watching the Sweet 16, maybe whatever it was, they look this morning and they see the Atlanta Braves are 0-4 after getting swept out in San Diego. They got the Dodgers upcoming as well over the next 3 days. Any cause for concern with Atlanta dropping the first four against the Padres?
Well, what I know about the Braves is that when the offense is cold, it goes cold. Remember, at the end of last year, of course, it was a banged-up offense, but it's still not the same offense because Sean Murphy is not in the lineup. But even the guys who were accustomed to hitting the ball hard all over the ballpark, they are not doing so. The Atlanta Braves have a 42 WRC plus. That is the second worst mark among all offenses in Major League Baseball. But again, similarly to last year, the Braves pitching is still solid. Their starters are still great. Their bullpen is still great. They're still one of the better teams in baseball, but going up against a hot Padres team to start is not going to help. But I am concerned about the offense, certainly at this point. And my best bet of the day includes the Braves taking on the Dodgers tonight, so it'll be fun to go over.
Oh, yeah, sorry. We'll get to that a little bit later on. I do want to stick with the Padres, though, Peter, because, again, they sweep Atlanta 4-0. A lot of talk this offseason in the NL West. The Dodgers, clearly the team to beat. Everybody was loving the Diamondbacks, though, heading into this year, and it didn't feel like there was enough love about the Padres. Do you like this Padres team?
It's so funny because I guess I'm riding with the public here. I was a big believer in the Arizona Diamondbacks this season, still am. And then, of course, I like the Giants this year. I think they'll be better than they were last year. And I was asked, well, who takes a step back? And I thought to myself, I still like the Padres. I still think they'll be over 500 when we're looking at them at the end of the season. But because their lineup is so top-heavy, because the rotation is so top-heavy, and the fact that a couple of the key players have been in the rumor mill this offseason, whether that be Dylan Cease, Michael King, Luis Arias, I just thought to myself, all right, it might be time to not fade the Padres, but not tail the Padres. And then what do we get the first four games of the season? That top-heavy lineup I was talking about? Yeah, it's top-heavy. Fernando Tatis Jr. looks fantastic. Manny Machado continues to rake just like we know he can be. And of course, they did enough to beat a Braves team with how good that bullpen looked. The rotation was solid. The bullpen was unbelievable. So this is a team in the Padres that if that bullpen keeps performing and the starters can get them five, they're going to win a lot of low-scoring games. And they have, of course, the potential to score a lot of runs with, again, that top-heavy lineup.
Let's talk about your New York Yankees, who certainly had themselves a 3 days against the Milwaukee Brewers. 36 runs scored, Peter. They hit 1 billion home runs. Judges on pace for like 200 of them. What did you make of the Yanks opening series against Milwaukee? And for you, are they still the team to beat in the American League?
I think it's so going into the season, I actually have the Red Sox winning the division. And now that's not off to a hot start, but we also have to remember that we're just 4 games in. We're looking for sweeping takeaways. We're looking for predictions after just 4 games. But if these 4 games happened in the middle of July, nobody would care. But they are happening to start the year. So now, are the Yankees still the team to beat? I'm still not totally sold on that. In large part because, of course, they're putting up 20 runs. And I'm literally wearing a Yankees polo right now. I am a Yankees fan. But the pitchers they were going up against, I mean, Aaron Savali just hit the IL, and he was throwing meatballs right down the plate. I love Nestor Cortez Jr., but did we see how he looked? And then, when they got all these runs off the starters, they put in some bullpen arms that were making their debut or are way down on the totem pole of the Brewers bullpen, and they went crazy against them. It was awesome. But I think it's a slight overreaction to say that they are the clear favorite in the American League. I still think the Red Sox are going to be good. The Rangers clearly look great. The Mariners pitching is still really solid. And the Guardians just continue to win. So the American League remains wide open. But as a Yankee fan, I have to admit, it was really cool to see them hit 15 home runs in their last 3 games. It was unbelievable.
Who impressed you more, St. Louis sweeping Minnesota or the Marlins taking 3 of 4 over the Pirates?
I think it's St. Louis. The Marlins series was great, but there was a lot of walk-offs involved, and I think Pirates fans will certainly be yelling at their TV, just blaming David Bednar. So the Pirates could have actually won 3 of 4 games, but it ended up flipping towards Miami's way. Have to be really impressed with the Cardinals. Not only did Sonny Gray look great, Andre Palante looked good, but it's their offense. Looked really solid throughout the lineup, right? And this is even with Wilson Contreras getting off to a really poor start, and he's one of the best hitters in the lineup. Nolan Arenado looked good. Victor Scott has made some swing adjustments. He looked great. Ivan Herrera at the catching position. Of course, you have Mason Wynn, Brandon Donovan, Alec Burleson still hitting. This is a team that a lot of people are down on because it's expected that they're going to move all of their pieces, but they haven't yet. So in the meantime, this is a team that nobody really cares about yet that we can find value in the betting market, tailing at least for the time being.
Talk with Peter Appel here on Send It In, co-founder of Just Baseball. All right, Peter, want to get your best bets of the day here in a moment. Last question about just the takeaways that you had from the first weekend. Did you add anything to the futures portfolio? Maybe like a player award, future market? Was there something that you saw out of a team or a player, even just 3-4 games into the season, that you were willing to take a bite, or nothing for you at this point?
Nothing for me at this point, but I am monitoring the Pittsburgh Pirates potentially having the worst record in Major League Baseball this season. Now, I know you have the White Sox, and I know you have the Rockies, and I know you have the Marlins. So those are the 3 teams that were kind of the favorites in that category. The Pirates look terrible, to put it plainly. I mean, Paul Skeens is amazing, but Jared Jones is still on the shelf. Mitch Keller is a guy who's always had a great first half followed by a very below average second half. And then you're looking at the depth in the Pirates rotation and you're saying to yourself, And then on offense, O'Neal Cruz is very flashy. But is he probably just going to have a 780 OPS again? How good is Brian Reynolds? And that's kind of it, because they traded for Spencer Horwitz this offseason and he immediately got hurt. He's out 8 to 12 weeks. So it's a really bad offense. It's a bullpen led by a closer that should lose his job, being completely honest, and they have one amazing starting pitcher. That doesn't feel like a great team to me. And the Pirates are still showing a ton of value. Like, fading the Pirates is probably going to make people a lot of money this season.
Yeah, 55-1, Peter, still at BetMGM to finish with the worst record in the regular season. So like you said, still some good value there if you think Pittsburgh might finish with the worst record. All right, today's slate, Peter, we were talking before the show. You said you got a couple plays. You got one that you really like on today's card. What are the plays?
Yeah, so I got 2 plays. I'll start with my smaller play. Kyle Hart, pitcher for the San Diego Padres, over 3.5 strikeouts. You might be wondering, who is Kyle Hart? Well, Kyle Hart, if we remember, let me give you another example. Eric Fetty. Do you remember him? He's pitching for the Cardinals now, came over to the White Sox. He was terrible in Major League Baseball, went over to the KBO and absolutely dominated, won the MVP over there, then comes back and looks like a reinvented pitcher. His opening day start, when he first came back over for the White Sox, he struck out 7 guys. Now, Kyle Hart is a guy who hasn't really pitched in Major League Baseball since 2020. But he reinvented himself in the KBO and won the KBO equivalent of the Cy Young just last year. 157 innings, 182 strikeouts, pitching to a 2.69 ERA. 3.5 strikeouts, those lines are meant for spot starters, guys who are terrible. Kyle Hart is not terrible. And the reason I believe in him so much is because AJ Preller believes in him. And I think, you can say whatever you want as an executive, but as a scout, I think he's one of the best talent evaluators in Major League Baseball. Kyle Hart with a game plan that the Guardians aren't used to. I know they're not a big strikeout team, but they did strike out at 22% rate last year on the road against lefties. Kyle Hart has a really good breaking ball. I think he's going to make a couple of these Guardians bats look silly. But again, it is taking a risk. We're taking a leap here with Kyle Hart, but I do like him over 3.5 strikeouts against the Guardians today.
I love it. All right, and then what's the total that you like? What's your favorite play?
So my POD is going back to your original point about the Braves offense. We are fading the Braves offense. But here's the only issue. Dodgers are minus 250. The Braves team total is 3.5, majorly juiced to the under. So we don't have a lot of area to work with. But what I do like is what the Braves have on the mound today. Grant Holmes is one of my breakout pitchers this year. He's in the top 10th percentile in chase rate, in whiff rate. He gets a lot of swing and miss, but he doesn't walk anybody. He was in the 90th percentile of walk rate. And then if we're looking at a guy who doesn't get barreled, right, we want to keep that ball off the middle of the bat. 70th percentile on that. I think he's a breakout guy. But then the Braves bullpen is completely rested behind Grant Holmes. And then on the Dodger side, they have Tyler Glasnow, who's fresh and healthy, and he's got a 177 opponent batting average against the Braves' current roster, followed by a Dodgers bullpen that is completely rested after having an off day yesterday. So my POD is the under 8.5 for Dodgers versus Braves. That line has since moved, but you can still find minus 105 under 8 at BetMGM, which I think is a great play as well.
I love it. There you go. Peter Appel joining us here on Send It In, co-founder of Just Baseball. Give Peter a follow on X at PeterAppel23. He'll join us a bunch here throughout the season on Send It In. Peter, great catching up with you, sir. Good luck on your bets. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for having PJ. Good luck, everybody.